Hey guys, it is Tealus here. I am back for the second video looking at the brand new specialization of Survival Hunters. The name remains, however, the specialization has been completely butchered and removed and changed with this new melee spec that hunters are rolling around with. And to be honest, it is a lot of fun. It is getting darker here at True Shot Lodge. As I mentioned in the first episode, I have found my way through a little, not a glitch, but a little kind of workaround to getting here on my 110 level character as opposed to the 105 I had to use on the Beast Mastery video. And if I get kicked from the server, hopefully that does not happen because then I'll have to do the video all over again. But otherwise, let's go ahead and look into this second video of these two videos looking at Survival Hunters. We are looking at the PvE and PvP talents for a survival hunter. Now I'm going to be looking at these talent trees a little bit differently than I have been for other classes, and I'm going to be looking them at completely brand new. To my knowledge, I think there's only one talent on here that is still the same. Maybe two. I think we have camouflage and post haste and maybe serpent sting. Otherwise, everything else is brand new. So we're going to have fun looking at all of these different new abilities that are coming to a survival hunter. Also, murder of crows is still the same. So, we're going to have fun looking at these new abilities. They really do kind of add into the playstyle of a survival hunter. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. First, let's start with animal instincts. Your flanking strike, which is one of your new abilities as a survival hunter, also grants you instincts over your pet for 7 seconds, providing them one of the following combat enhancement. Increases haste by 10%, increases movement speed by 20%, or increases mastery by 10%. Let's go ahead and just use this here and we'll see what happens. Flanking strike right there. I just got the movement speed increased by 20%. So let's go ahead and use this again. We now have the mongoose, which increases my mastery by 10%. Which, by the way, 10% of your mastery is no joke. If you remember in the last video, we discussed the new mastery being hunting companion. So a 10% increase on your mastery will actually do something. So if that pops up again, we'll take a look at it. There, once again, we got the movement speed increase, and we got it again. I don't think we're gonna get the third one here. It seems that Blizzard feels that I only need to be fast, which I mean is great, you know, that's all. But I would like to see the others. There we go. There's the one with that. Let's see if we can see if the mastery has changed too much at all. Yes, it's gone from about 4.1% to 6.6%. So I have more of a chance there to get it there. And then there's the last one, Instincts the Raptor, trying to combine haste and raptor in one word doesn't really work out. The aspect of the raptor, which increases your haste by 10%. So that is animal instincts. On the right-hand side here, we have a Way of the Machnathal. If you don't know what Machnathals are, that is, I believe, what Rexar is. So, just a little knowledge, dropping some knowledge on you there. But it is a passive in which Raptor Strike also grants you Machnathal Tactics, increasing your attack power by 3% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 4 times. Raptor Strike, once again, as I mentioned in the first video, is basically your base ability. It's more of your focus dump if you've got extra focus. As you can see there, I have 12% increased attack power. I'm not sure how this is going to play out because it's kind of a buff. It's a honestly it's something that I see PvEers taking because it's just a straight damage buff. Increased attack power by up to 12% is pretty potent, and I just don't see these others being taken. In Animal Instincts, you have a chance to increase your damage, and then sometimes you have a chance to increase your movement speed, which is worthless. So you have like a 2/3 chance of actually getting a buff. And I'm not even sure, because I'm not a theory crafter, if those two enhancements to that damage are going to be better than Way of Machnathal. So I really see PvPers taking Way of Machnathal. PvPers, though, I can easily possibly see taking throwing axes. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. You toss 3 axes at an enemy, dealing 46,000 physical damage. It's got a 14.5 second recharge, 30-yard range, 15 focus, and you have 2 charges of it. Now, I will say, just to give you an idea, Raptor Strike deals 45,000 damage. So this dealing 46,000 damage, it's a Raptor Strike from range, so to say. So if in any reason you find yourself too far from the enemy, you can toss those out. Now, do take note. It is 32,000 each. So each of them deals that much damage. So that's a lot of damage. We're talking, not Raptor Strike type of damage. We're talking Mongoose Bite type of damage. We're talking Flanking Strike type of damage. That's the kind of damage we're expecting out of this with this. And it's got a 14.5 second recharge, so if you are away from a target, you're able to do that before you're able to harpoon to them and then start attacking them to deal some real damage. So that is definitely an option that is open to you. So that's the first tier, and personally, if I were PvP, throwing axes is my choice, and then I think Way of Machnathal is just going to be a no-brainer for most PvEers unless something comes up that I don't know about. In the third tier, we have improved traps. I had to use this so that I couldn't show off the other two. In the other video, it reduces the cooldown of your freezing trap by 15% and the cooldown of your explosive trap and tar trap by 50%. So your freezing trap is now at a 20.4 second cooldown. That's pretty good to have it down to a 20.4 second cooldown. They couldn't do a full 50% because that would just be broken, having it every 12 seconds for you to be able to freeze someone. So they had to kind of cut back on that. There's explosive trap is now at a 12 second cooldown. If you remember in the first video I said this really hurts now, and I'm not joking. So when they say having that on a 20-second cooldown is actually it's a 12-second cooldown. Sorry, excuse me, not a 20-second cooldown. Means you have a 85% uptime on that, somewhere around there. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good dot to have in your arsenal in conjunction with lacerate as well. You're just going to be dealing a lot of damage to a target, whether they like it or not. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at Caltrops, which will replace your tar trap. So, basically, it scatters Caltrops in an area for 15 seconds. Enemies who step on the Caltrops will take 5,800 bleed damage every 1 second and have 70% reduced movement speed for 6 seconds. I've talked about how great this is forever. 70% is just an amazing number to hit in terms of movement speed reduction, because it really does cripple your enemy to have it at a 70% reduction in their movement speed. So having that is really useful. Also, it basically takes from improved traps. So normally your tar trap is about 24 seconds. Caltrops reduces it to 12. Improved traps reduces tar trap down to 12. So you get the 12 automatically, you just don't get the 12 on the explosive trap. So you're trading out explosive trap 12-second damage and having that 85% uptime. Instead, you're trading that out for Caltrops, which will give you bleed damage, and then will also give you the 70% reduced speed. So I'm going to go ahead and use this here. Once again, remember, this is a targeting reticle that you can use, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it right in between here. And you'll see there the little Caltrops. And you can see the damage that it does. 6,000 across the board. And it snares the ball if they stay in range. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the one thing that's cool is there's not really a defined edge radius. So if you're a player who's not used to this, you may not understand, how close whether you're in range of that trap or not. Because it's not like you have a defined barrier edge of where the exact edge of the Caltrops are. So it can be a little deceiving to your opponents. So that may come into play. The last ability on this tier is Steel Trap, which replaces your Freezing Trap. You hurl a steel trap to the target location that immobilizes the first enemy that approaches for 30 seconds and deals 350,000 bleed damage over 30 seconds. Other damage may break the immobilization effect. Trap will exist for 1 minute. I honestly do not know how long this lasts with players. I'm assuming that it lasts as long as Freezing Trap normally lasts with players, which is like, 6 seconds or something like that. But the damage will still be there. So let's go ahead and bring up Steel Trap, and we'll go ahead and use it so you can see what it looks like. Check out the Steel Trap there. It looks like it hit this target right here. It's immobilized, and it's bleeding right now for damage. To be honest, this is my least favorite of the tier. A 48-second cooldown. It can be a DPS increase, considering it does not interfere with your rotation too much. I mean, it's not going to be something that costs any focus, but is that going to be better than having Explosive Trap, if you're PvEer, having Explosive Trap on a 12-second cooldown? Or, depending on the way the numbers roll out, having Caltrops on a 12-second cooldown to deal damage, and then also Explosive Trap. The thing about Explosive Trap is like you get hit immediately and the dot sticks to you, whereas Caltrops you actually have to stay in the area for the bleed damage to continue on that person. It's not like it sticks like an Explosive Trap will. So I probably see PvEers taking improved traps, whereas PvPers could take improved traps or Caltrops. I really just don't see steel traps being as useful. In the 45 tier, we have a very familiar ability. It's called Post Haste. This is mostly used for disengage, but in this version, it's going to be used for Harpoon. So you've already seen me use it several times in the past video, but basically it gives me that running movement speed that I would love to have with Post Haste, though they have some other talents here that may be actually more useful. We have Far Strider. Your ability critical strikes have a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on your Harpoon. I kind of like this. I personally do. So, I mean, let's just see how often, if I'm able to actually get some cooldowns. See, there we go. Cool Harpoon reset with Cleave. Like, if you're going to start using Cleave a bunch, Carve a bunch, you could end up having a lot of cooldowns on your, Carve, on your Harpoon, depending on how much you're able to crit. So that's something you can look at. Last is Dash here, and it increases the duration of aspect to the cheetah by 3 seconds. This is underwhelming in just about every single talent tree. I think all hunters have access to this, and I just really don't care for it. I really would rather have Post Haste on my Disengage, or Far Strider, or Post Haste for a Survival Hunter. That's just how I'm feeling with these abilities. In the 60 tier, we have a Murder of Crows. This is basically unchanged from the live realms. It is the same as it is on the Beast Mastery side of things. Summon a flock of crows, deals damage over 15 seconds, 1 minute cooldown. If they die in those 15 seconds, then a Murder of Crows is reset. Pretty simple. Very powerful PvE tool. Not as great in PvP, though it does do a lot of damage. You have Mortal Wounds. Each time Lacerate deals damage, you have a 2% chance to gain a charge on Mongoose Bite. Please remember how important it is to have Mongoose Bite charges. I mean, 50% increase. Mongoose Fury is insane, especially with your artifact weapon. So getting more charges is really kind of a big deal. So that may be something that probably PvEers may be more interested in than something like Murder of Crows. The third option here, though, is Snake Hunter, which will instantly grant you 3 charges of Mongoose Bite. So if I were to choose this here, I can go ahead and use all 3, well, I need to actually like put the summon bars down here, and we'll use all 3 charges of Mongoose Bite, and then we'll go ahead and pop this and get the other 3 on top of it, and then we can use my artifact weapon before it goes down and deal lots and lots of damage. So that is definitely something for you to consider if you're able to burst someone down that quickly. I'm not sure how popular it'll be in PvP. I honestly don't know what the most popular option will be in PvP in this tier. I think all of them have potential. In PvE though, Mortal Wounds might quite possibly be the most popular, but Snake Hunter may be very close as well because of the burst that you can immediately get. Consider that your Fury of the Eagle is only a 45-second cooldown, and you really want to use Fury of the Eagle when you have that 300% damage boost from Mongoose Fury. Combining these two together is pretty amazing. So that may be the PvEer's choice for this tier. In the 75 tier, we have Camouflage. So this works just as it is on live 1 minute cooldown. You blend into your surroundings, you gain stealth. While Camouflage, you'll heal for 2% every 1 second. I can't remember if the heal came in as an enhancement or it came baseline. Either way, you now heal for 2% every 1 second. However, next to this next ability right here, I don't see this ever being not taken. This is called Ranger's Net. It will replace your wing clip. Your wing clip is only 15. Oh no, your wing clip is 30 focus. So the focus stays the same. It's only a 1 second cooldown. You hurl a net enemy at an enemy, rooting the target for 3 seconds, and then reducing movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Damage may break the effect. Now I checked this just to be sure, but we'll do it again. But when it says damage may break the effect, I believe that only refers to the root. So I'll go ahead and use the net, and I'll get up here and I'll start attacking this. And you'll see on the target, I actually have the snare effect still on the target. So effectively, what does Ranger's Net do for me? Ranger's Net gives me a 40-yard, 50% snare, and a 3-second root. Let me just say right now that the amount of screaming that will come from PvPers from this ability will be so loud across the forums, because this will be so annoying. It's got a 1-second cooldown and only costs 3 focus. Okay? I'm in a raid setting, and these guys are all chasing down my flag carrier, you know, on Warsong Gulch. I'm gonna throw a net. I'm gonna throw another net. I'm gonna throw another net. I'm just gonna snare all of you. You guys are all gonna be stuck with it. Now, the snare will only stay on one. But the root, oh no, excuse me, I stand corrected. The snare's on all of them. So they're now all snared by my 1-second cooldown Ranger's Net that costs 30 focus. That can root a target from a 40-yard range. You literally cannot get away from a hunter. You have to get 40 yards away from them. And even then, it's just like, there, snare, oh, I get out of the snare, too bad, I'll just go ahead and harpoon to you. Survival hunters have, in my opinion, the best sticking power in the entire game. If not the best sticking power they have, at the very least, it is the one class that is unkiteable. You cannot kite away from a survival hunter. They just have to, like, just with Ranger's Net, you can't get away from them. And probably the best class at kiting that I've seen so far is Beast Mastery Hunter. I mean, I'd love to see the showdown between Survival and Beast Mastery Hunter. I honestly think it would be amazing. But this Ranger's Net, I mean, I honestly think you are a fool for not taking it. I think it's amazing. So, if you're playing Survival Hunter and you're not using Ranger's Net, I don't know what's up with you. But having a 40-yard root snare is just broken. It's just broken. I mean, people used to complain about Chains of Ice, you know, 30-yard range, and it would have that, it wasn't necessarily a root, it was like a 90% reduction that would reduce over time. People hated that, and they cried until it was taken out. People cried until the double hamstring root was somewhat mitigated and changed out of the game. I can't even begin to imagine once people, I mean, the only reason you haven't heard about it in the forums is because people are still trying to figure out how in the world to play a survival hunter. And just having this is just, oh, it's going to be broken. People are going to be whining and crying, and it's going to be a lot of fun to use in the beginning, I'm not going to lie. So, there's that, and then the last option here is Sticky Bomb, which hurls a concussive grenade at your target, which sticks to them and explodes after 3 seconds, knocking back all the nearby enemies. I wish I knew how much it knocked back, because if this is like something I can use on Eye of the Storm, you can bet I'm using this on Eye of the Storm. If I can just throw a sticky on someone and have it explode and have them all just be launched off the cliff, you know, it's like the best ever, then I'm taking Sticky Bomb. But otherwise, Ranger's Net's just the way to go. It's just so much better. So that's definitely something that I really like. I'm waiting till this cooldown comes up because I threw it on that bottom one so you couldn't really see, but it's got a little bomb ticker on top so you can actually see how much time you have until it actually explodes. So, I mean, if you really want to mess over your team, you can get right in the middle of all of them and then blow them all off a cliff and have a lot of good laughs with it. But I'll throw it on this guy and you can see the little bomb ticker on top of it, and then it explodes. So, with that, let's look to the 90 tier. This is kind of the AoE tier. Blizzard has kind of moved away from themed tiers, but this one kind of stays towards an AoE themed tier. So first we have Dragon's Fire Grenade. Well, let's start with this first one, Butchery, which will replace your carve, and it strikes all nearby Enemies in a flurry of strikes, inflicting 102,000 physical damage to each 40 focus. So the focus cost stays the same. There's a cooldown added. There was no cooldown before. Now there's a cooldown added. However, there's 3 charges to it. So it's 14.5 seconds per cooldown. And it no longer is just an arc in front of you, it's everyone around you. So, I will use it here. It does a lot of damage. And its range is pretty good. I mean, just see right there. That's a lot of damage I just did right there. For PvEers, I kind of just see this being the go-to ability in terms of AoE fights, because this is really strong. However, you're giving up your ability to spam it. So, in the end, what I've been looking at is whether or not this is actually a waste of a talent. If you're able to use Carve consistently in a PvE setting, and choosing, if you're able to use Carve consistently in a PvE setting, and able to get everyone locked up in a cone in front of you, you're losing DPS by not selecting these other options. That's kind of my assessment of this right now. So I'm not sure, I may be wrong about the mathematical numbers that are going through my head on that, but that's what I'm seeing so far from Butchery. Your next option is Serpent Sting. Targets hit by your Raptor Strike and Carve are also infected by Serpent Sting, dealing 110 nature damage over 15 seconds. This doesn't stack, so it's just going to be straight damage. As you can see there, I now have the dots on everyone, put Carve on them, I have the dots on everyone, and so they all take the ticking damage now. To my knowledge, we'll double check again, you cannot add to the damage. These are still dealing only 26,000, and these are, I already lost these, darn it. These still only have 1 on them. This is dealing 26,000 damage, so it's not stacking or anything, it's just still there. So Serpent Sting is coming back. It used to be baseline, it's coming back as a talent. You can use it in Carve and Raptor Strike. I see this being more of the PvE option because you can build it into your Raptor Strike, so it gives your Raptor Strike more of a oomph. And, you know, you have Raptor Strike, and then Serpent Sting dealing damage, and then you have Lacerate dealing damage, and then you can focus more on Flanking Strike for your focus, and Mongoose Bites, as opposed to ever having to use any Raptor Strikes. Instead, you can just use it for the Serpent Sting ability. That's kind of up to you. The third option here is Dragon's Fire Grenade. You hurl a Dragon's Fire Grenade at a target that explodes into flames, inflicting 195,000 fire damage over 8 seconds and reducing movement speed by 20%. Volatile flames on the target also scorch nearby enemies for 20,000 damage every 1 second. This is my personal PvP option because it doesn't cost anything. Instant fire damage, AoE, and a snare, all in one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this to that top target right there. And there was a low animation on that, but you can see it ticks fast, and it's a lot of damage. I mean, just look at the numbers that pop up on that. And it's a 30-second cooldown, and it doesn't burn any of your your focus. So I can see this being a popular talent. Honestly, I'm not a theory crafter, so I'm not sure, but I think this tier could be highly debated until they finally figure out, which they probably will before the expansions even start. They'll figure out which one's the best one, and then everyone will be like, alright, take Butchery if you're in PvE, or Serpent Sting if you're in PvE. And then PvP, it's going to be up to people to decide. I definitely, Butchery won't be that great in PvP, I don't think. Serpent Sting will be much better, or Dragon's Fire Grenade. In the last tier, we have Expert Trapper, which allows your traps to be improved in various ways. When freezing traps incapacitate effect ends, the victim and all nearby enemies' movement speed is reduced by 50% for 4 seconds. So let's go ahead and switch to this, and let me just switch to improved traps. And we'll go ahead and use this, and see if we can get it to show up. So this guy is now snared. Oh, it's going to take a minute, so we'll see if that actually goes through. We have Explosive Trap. Increases Explosive Trap's damage done to the triggered enemy by 100%. So it's going to deal a lot more damage now. So you can see that 20k right there. That's the increased damage by 100%. And then we have Tar Trap. Enemies moving through the tar trap have a chance to be rooted in place for 4 seconds. I'm not sure if we can actually, if roots will actually show up on any of these targets. If there's any visual effect, I don't think there is. They're just snared right now. So they're target dummies, so that's not really the best example that I can give you. This is about to finish here in a second. Let's see if it actually, if there's a visual effect that explodes or something, or you don't notice it. We'll go ahead and see right here in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. And nothing really big happened there. So the tooltips are there, and it will reduce movement speed. It just doesn't really work well on training dummies. Your steel trap will deal an additional 116,000 bleed damage, and your caltrops damage will be increased by 50%. We talked about, which is going to be the better PvE option on the level 30 tier. Maybe Expert Trapper paired with caltrops may be the popular item. Or maybe improved traps. The 12-second explosive trap will be a better option with the Expert Trapper. I don't know. It's going to be up to them. Lastly, we have, secondly, we have Aspect of the Beast. Flanking Strike causes the pet's additional effect based on your pet's specialization. Ferocity, your target bleeds for another 21,000 damage over 6 seconds. Tenacity, your pet also takes 15% reduced damage for 6 seconds. Or Cunning, your target's movement speed is also reduced by 50% for 4 seconds. I kind of like the Cunning option Aspect of the Beast on different specs of hunters. But considering I am the lord of anti-kiting as a survival hunter, that's not as big of a deal for me. So I'm not sure if I really like this this talent as much as possibly getting something like the increased damage on caltrops or increased explosive trap damage. So that's something to consider. Last, we have Spitting Cobra, which summons a Spitting Cobra for 30 seconds that attacks your target for 4,000 nature damage every 2 seconds. While the Cobra is active, you gain 3 focus every 1 hit. I like this. The only thing I don't like is cooldowns. I'm not a big fan of cooldown ability. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Cobra here. And I'm using this ability, and he's going to start spitting and giving me focus back like a good pet. So, 1 minute cooldown. The Cobra lasts for 30 seconds, so you have 50% uptime on this Cobra. I'm not sure if this Cobra follows you. Let's try it and see if he follows me all the way over here. Come follow me, Cobra. Okay, the Cobra says no. Cobra says forget it. The Cobra is stationary, so that's something you have to take note in PvP. That really stinks. And that makes me more inclined to take something like Expert Trapper, or if I have to, Aspect of the Beast with a Ferocity pet. But that really stinks that Spitting Cobra does not move, and that could be a problem in PvE. That may be something that PvEers may have to look into and change accordingly, depending on the boss fight that they're up against. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at our honor talents and look at what we have here. The first 2 tiers of the honor talent tier will be focused on baseline. First will be your baseline dealing with your medallion. The second will be a baseline dealing with physical damage dealing. And actually, that may be a bug. We'll look into that. The second tier is supposed to be tied into whatever your actual affiliation is, whether it be melee DPS or range DPS, or a healer or a tank. In this case, it should be melee DPS, but I believe right now it's showing up as range DPS. So it's very possible that this all may be changed to more melee damage focus, which have things like increased health by 10%, reduces physical damage against you by so-and-so, and so forth. That may be what it is, and I will most likely, I'm going to have to look into a forum post to see if they're actually changing that, but that's what I expect out of it. And then these 2 tiers are your hunter tiers, and the last 2 tiers will be dealing with survival hunter specific tiers. So let's go ahead and go straight through them. When you start PvP for the first time, you're going to get a medallion, a nice little trinket that'll allow you to actually you know, it'll be your PvP trinket, but it'll be like an heirloom trinket, so it's going to be on a 3-minute cooldown. You can choose to take a Gladiator's Medallion, which will be a 2-minute cooldown, so that's like your basic trinket that you have right now on live. Now, before we go any further, do know that leveling in Honor, as Honor in PvP, works like Call of Duty. You'll start at level 1, and then you'll work your way all the way up to level 50. And then you, as you are working your way up to level 50, you will unlock these, starting with Gladiator's Medallion, going all the way down to Sticky Tar, and then starting up with Adaptation, and then going all the way down to Diamond Ice, and then repeating for the third time on the last tier. I believe the last item comes in at level 46. So then you reach level 50, and you can choose whether you want to Prestige and start all over again, or you just want to keep all your talents and you go from there. So, with that being said, I already mentioned Gladiator's Medallion. Your second option here is Adaptation. All loss of control effects with a duration of 5 seconds or more will activate your Honorable Medallion spell, but only causes it to incur a 60-second cooldown. This is my favorite choice for PvP, not PvP, for DPS characters. I like it because it gives you just a 60-second cooldown trinket. However, do know that if you actually activate your 3-minute Honorable Medallion cooldown, it will cause Adaptation to go off of go on a 3-minute cooldown, so just know that. Your third option here is Relentless. It will replace your Honorable Medallion, but the duration of incoming crowd control effects will be reduced by 25%. So there's something to look out for there. In the second tier, we have these ranged abilities, which are really strange to me, and I'm wondering if they will stay. But for now, let's just take a guess that they will stay. But it's very possible that they could change to the melee ones in the future, which, as I said, I cannot remember them off the top of the head. Though I do know that one is increase your health by 10%, and another one is like you have a set percent chance to reduce critical strikes against you for a certain period of time. With that being said, your first option here is Quick Shots, which increases your haste by 6%. You have Initiation, critical strike chance, critical chance of your damaging abilities and attacks increased by 30% at targets at or above 80% health. And then you have Focused Fire, damage increased by 15%, being attacked will cancel its effect for 8 seconds. I mean, this talent is completely useless as a melee DPS, so it really doesn't belong there. In the third tier, we have Dragon Scale Armor. Magical damage over time effects deal 20% less damage to you, excuse me. You have Cat-like reflexes, critical melee strikes against you. Critical melee strikes grant you 30% dodge for 4 seconds. Sorry for the little mess up there. And then you have Survival Tactics. Feign Death removes all harmful magical effects and reduces damage taken by 100% for 1.5 seconds. I actually kind of like that as a Survival Hunter. That would probably be my choice as a Survival Hunter. In the third tier, you have the Sting tier. You have Viper Sting. Your Raptor Strike stings the target, reducing their healing done by 30% for 12 seconds. Viper Sting is removed if the target casts a non-instant cast healing spell. This is still my absolute favorite for hunters across the board. There's Scorpion Sting. Your Raptor Strike stings the target, reducing their physical critical strike chance by 50% for 6 seconds. If you're having some real difficulties with some melee, which I can possibly see that being a problem with a Survival Hunter, in that their Achilles heel being really melee DPS, this may be the one that you want to take. And then lastly, there's Scorpion Sting. 45-second cooldown, stings the target with a potent spider venom, causing their next offensive cast spell cast to silence the target for 5 seconds, lasts for 8 seconds. This is a 40-yard range, so they decided to just go with a ranged ability even though you are no longer ranged. Maybe you just you chuck a dagger at them, or a throwing axe. You chuck a throwing axe with spider venom at them, and it'll sting them and cause them to silence them for 5 seconds if they cast a spell. I'm not quite sure how that works, but they brought it in because that is the hunter kind of tier for tier 4. In the 5th tier, we have Hunting Pack. Reduces the cooldown of your aspect of the cheetah by 50%, and your aspect of the cheetah also causes all allies within 15 yards to gain 90% movement speed for 3 seconds. So this is kind of like Stampeding Roar, but stronger. Stampeding Roar from Druids, but stronger. And it gives you a 1.2 minute cooldown for an aspect of the cheetah. That's pretty awesome to have that. 90% increase for your entire squad. That's pretty potent, if you ask me. That's like If you ever play Overwatch, that's like Lucio, popping his boost to his speed buff, and everyone just like flies out of the gate. That's kind of what I imagine with Hunting Pack. Here is an interesting one, and it kind of makes me not want to take Master's Call. It's Mending Bandage. It's a 15-yard range. Instantly clears all poisons and diseases from the target, so you can cast this on someone, and heals them for 36% damage over 6 seconds. Being attacked will stop you from using Mending Bandage. It's a 25-second cooldown, so you can be like, as a survival hunter, you can be like Doctor. You can be like Bear Grylls or whatever. Go out there and bandage up everyone, and so forth. So this is definitely an interesting option. 36% of damage over 6 seconds. That's quite a lot. Um, so that's definitely quite a lot, and something that can heal you for a lot. It's a possibility for someone to take that. There's Master's Call, which your pet removes all root and movement impairing effects from itself and the target, and grants immunity to all such effects for 4 seconds. Cast that on yourself. Master's Call. Master's Call is still really strong. I'm really shocked that it is. At the very least, it makes no sense for it to be removed from Beast Mastery Hunter. I know I harped on that in the Beast Mastery Hunter video, but it's here as a Survival Hunter, and maybe it'll return as a Beast Mastery ability, but for now, Master's Call is where it is at the moment. There's Sticky Tar, which enemies who stand in your tar trap for 3 seconds have their gear coated with tar, slowing melee attack speed by 50% for 5 seconds. I'm assuming that also applies to caltrops. It would make no sense that it would only apply to one or the other, so that is an option there. There's Diamond Ice. Victims of Freezing Trap can no longer be damaged or healed. Freezing Trap is now undispellable, but has a 6-second duration. I was pretty sure that Freezing Trap only had a 6-second duration. I would be very surprised if Freezing Trap actually did have a very long duration. And that is something that I may have to go in and test in PvP, just how long Freezing Trap lasts without Diamond Ice. But this, making it undispellable, you have 6 seconds to take a healer out of the fight. Undispellable, you can't get him out of it. That is really powerful. And I just see that as the go-to ability without question. Like, there's no question that that's the go-to ability. I mean, considering also if you need to like mend yourself, 6 seconds on the mending, Diamond Ice, works great together. The last here is Tracker's Net. You hurl a net at your enemy, rooting them for 6 seconds. While within the net, the target's chance to hit is reduced by 80%. Any damage will break the net. This is just icing on the cake. It's just icing on the cake with Ranger's Net and Tracker's Net. What do you do? This is more of a against ranged targets. So if someone's trying to attack you from range, you hit them with a Tracker's Net. You root them for 6 seconds. Their hit chance is reduced by 80%, and there's nothing that they can do. 10-second cooldown. Once again, the king of being able to being the anti-kite king is Survival Hunter. It's just, oh man, these are gonna be so frustrating to deal with. I mean, any class out there that is famous for having, Nikes and having their track shoes on, Survival Hunter is gonna have a word with you, and you're just not going to be able to escape. So that's all the PvP talents and PvE talents for Survival Hunter. It is now grown pretty dark here at True Shot Lodge. I'm glad I was able to get through all of this without the video cutting in and out. And me being kicked out of the lodge and being ported back to Dalaran. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Survival Hunter is completely brand new, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm interested to see how the community reacts once they start to get a grasp of what Survival Hunter can do. I can already tell you that the nets that Survival Hunter is going to be able to throw out are going to be very frustrating, and people are going to be really mad about it. So that's something to look out for in the very first few weeks of the release of Survival Hunter. Probably even before World of Warcraft Legion releases, I'm sure you're going to hear screaming about it. with people being very frustrated with what survival hunters are able to do. So that is everything for survival hunters. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize for both of them being so long. These are the first two videos across the 40-minute mark. But this one just barely. But there's just a lot to talk about because it's a brand new spec. What can I say? It's a brand new spec. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to have a lot of fun with survival hunters. I'm loving the way hunters are being diversified in this expansion, and I hope you guys will too. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video. Tearless out.